Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Now, we have a new Polish world champion, none other than 43-year-old Krzysztof Wlodarczyk, who you may remember as being the IBF and WBC Cruiserweight champion years ago. Well, now he's the WBC Bridgerweight champion. I don't know what you're going to say. Bridgerweight, are you having a laugh at you? Look, I'm someone who thinks you can make a strong case for having a super cruiserweight division, or Bridgerweight, if that's what you want to call it. I think they got the weights wrong. I don't think it should be anything more than 218 at the very most is the limit. But I think you can make a case for it. And of course, at the moment, I think only the WBC and WBA recognise such a division. I don't think the WBA have even got a champion. Anyone who wins the Bridgerweight title isn't interested in defending it. Wlodarczyk at 43 is obviously in the twilight of his career, but he's picked up this belt. And, you know, I have to say that the fight that he had to win the belt against Adam Balski, another Polish fighter, was a good fight. It was an entertaining fight. And Wlodarczyk, I mean, this is a guy who was the Polish cruiserweight champion. Do you know when? 2002, 23 years ago. And then he went on to win world honours. He's currently now that he's beaten Balski for the Bridgerweight title, he's now got 65 wins with 44 KOs, 4 defeats, 1 stoppage, which I think it was to Murat Gasayev, and 1 draw. Okay. And his last loss, which I think was the Gasayev fight, was in 2017. So even though he's not been fighting killers, you know, since then, he's won a string of fights. I mean, it must be at least a dozen fights, and he's finally collected this Bridgerweight title. Well, I'm old enough to remember when the Cruiserweight division first started, and it was considered to be, you know, the sort of the runt of the litter if you won that title. It was the same with the super middleweights as well. You know, the first super middleweight champion, I think, was Murray Sutherland of Scotland, IBF. No, I mean, does anyone remember Murray Sutherland as a world champion? He was the IBF super middleweight title. Carlos de Leon won the WBC cruiserweight title 4 times. But it wasn't until, you know, Holyfield and Cowie and people like that had incredible, that they fought twice. The first fight was an incredible fight. It wasn't until fighters started to say, okay, to pay attention to it, good fighters and great fights were produced, that the cruiserweight title became legitimized. And if the Bridgerweight division, or I much prefer the phrase super cruiserweight division, is to gain any kind of momentum and credibility, you've got to have good fights. And I have to say, Krzysztof Wlodarczyk, 43 years old, and Adam Balski, 33 years old maybe, 34 years old perhaps, they produced a good old fight, a good old row in Poland. Obviously, they're 2 Polish fighters. This was in Poland. Now, when the fight began, it was obvious what was going to happen. Balski, by the way, let's talk a little bit about Balski, because he came in with 20 wins and 2 defeats. He's got 12 KOs in the wins column, and his 2 defeats were on points. One was to Mateusz Masternak, another former cruiserweight champion, no problem. You know, lost a 10-rounder, okay, fair enough. The other one, though, was a couple of fights later to Alan Babic. And Babic has been certainly exposed at world level. Got done in a round for the Bridgerweight title himself, and then got done in a minute by Johnny Fisher. I mean, but at the time in 2022, he was flying, he was undefeated, and he won a 10-round decision over Balski. So Balski had never been previously stopped. And in this fight, because he's a younger man, you know, by about 9 years, I think, still a lot of people thought he might upset the apple cart. So when the fight began, Balski, it became instantly apparent what both fighters were going to do. Balski was going to stick and move. He moved an awful lot. It verged on running at times, but he was going to use the perimeter of the ring, popping his left hand, orthodox fighter, bringing the right hand over. And he was having some success against Wlodarczyk, who, by the way, doesn't look 43. I mean, he's probably past his best, but, you know, he's still got something left. Wlodarczyk, on the other hand, was going to walk forward, try and get him on the ropes and unload the big punches, the big hooks. Okay. And this, for 4.5 rounds, was the pattern of the fight. There was, I don't even think it was a clash of heads, because Balski had a cut on the scalp that was bleeding. And there were times when Wlodarczyk was getting him on the ropes and you thought, okay, there's a bit of danger here for Balski. But then in the 5th round, that exact scenario happened. Balski moved back to the ropes. Wlodarczyk moving forward like he was doing constantly, lets his punches go, but then gets clocked by a big hook that spun him down, and he felt it was a very heavy knockdown. Hit the top of the temple. I think it was a right hook. And down went Wlodarczyk. And when he got up, he was on Queer Street. That fight could have been stopped. The referee had a look at him. Okay, all right. I think it was near the end of the round, towards the end of the round. And Wlodarczyk made his way through the rest of the round, got back to the corner, and then in the 6th round sort of resumed what he was doing, but he still didn't really look 100%. It took him a round or two to shake off the cobwebs. So he goes forward, still going forward, very same style throughout the fight. Balski landing a lot of punches on the move. Wlodarczyk landing heavy shots, but not that many of them, to be honest. It was, it was kind of like, a bull and matador maybe, or perhaps fox and chicken might be a better analogy. That's unfair on Balski to say that he's a chicken, because he fought with a lot of courage in this fight. But he did pick up a cut over the eye as well. He had this cut on the scalp and a cut over the eye, and he was beginning. So it was indicative that Wlodarczyk was getting through with some good punches. Well, in the 8th round, we had the scenario where Balski went back to the ropes. Wlodarczyk was on him, but this time it was Wlodarczyk that landed the big hook. He had a big left hook, which sort of unhinged Balski. Balski moved forward, trying to grab and hold, but then got clocked with another hook, which put him over. And again, it was a heavy knockdown. He got up. It was right at the end of the round. He looked like he was swaying a bit, like the old breeze was swaying the reeds in the wind, but he made it back to the corner. The 9th round, I think he managed to stay out of trouble for the most part. Wlodarczyk again, looking kind of ominous, looking as if he was going to eventually catch him. Now, there was an air of, danger, constant danger. But Balski, again, was moving pretty well. I mean, he managed to get his legs back under him after that heavy knockdown. And that was until the 10th round, when Wlodarczyk was pushing Balski back to the ropes and then unleashed a big, I think it was a left hand. Wlodarczyk's orthodox, but I think it was a left hook that got Balski as he was moving back towards the ropes, and Balski fell very, very heavily. Got up, was pretty much out for the count, really, and the referee stopped the fight, and that was in the 10th round. And so Krzysztof Wlodarczyk has become the WBC Bridgerweight champion. It's a good fight. I mean, regardless of whether, what you think of the Bridgerweight division, regardless of the fact that Wlodarczyk's in his 40s, it was a good fight, contrasting styles, good action. Good fight. I mean, and hey, Wlodarczyk's making hay while the sun shines. That Bridgerweight title. I mean, I don't know what the rankings are, but I wonder if he's going to defend it. I think he should defend it. I think, I'd like to see, if they're going to have this division, I want to see it established. But it takes time. It takes years, just like with the cruiserweights, just like with the super middles. It does take time. It does take a lot of time. But anyway, go and have a look at this fight, because I watched it with Polish commentary. I don't speak a word of Polish, and this was on YouTube. So if you want to go and have a look at it, it's still on there, I think. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you did like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're going to build up this channel, of course. But yeah, thanks a lot. I'll read your comments if you leave any. Until next time, we shall meet again. Bye for now.